I'm not going to repeat that or show the movie again. Just a quick reminder. My job is to take biological data from things like this, convert it to XML, do some operations on it, and publish it. We have this workflow, and I'm going to show you how we use eXide to fit within our workflow. So this was the graphic I explained in the last talk. I'm not going to get into the details, just the main points. We have some data in XML files, and the data is corrected automatically. The software documents all the changes it does to the XML files, and each of the change belongs to one of three categories. Either it's an info, if like software did something, just wants to tell the user, here, I changed something, or a warning if the software is not sure whether this was correct or not, or an error if something cannot be automatically fixed. And afterwards, these things have to be reviewed manually, most likely by someone who doesn't really know or work with XML, but is an expert on the subject itself. So I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with the classical eXide. We've seen it quite a lot today. Here is what we did with it. This is the user interface for our system, and on that file we already ran the correction, and as you can see here, there were 7 things that were changed which are low priority, or just to inform the user, 1 warning, 1 error. So if we now go on edit, so this is what we see. We see the file. We have here a list of all the things that were changed. Click on it, it jumps to the corresponding line. We have the info here, okay, and this line, there were 3 nodes deleted from this current element. So since they were deleted, we cannot put the pointer on that precise line. And if we have a warning, we also have a warning icon here. So just say, yeah, okay, couldn't read the date. Just click it as reviewed, and then it is marked as reviewed in here as well. And last but not least, we also have error. Let's just say, fix this. This is supposed to be 1864. Check, and it is reviewed. So this is basically how we use it. We only have 1 file open. The user can go through the list, and at the end click save, and that's about it. We are not the user is not supposed to open any other files. It's not supposed to work on any other formats. Just the 1 file that we pass in the URL. So for this, I needed to change a few things. There's a list of files I needed to modify or replace. Well, first of all, the index XML, of course, this is where most of things were done. I tried to touch as little original files as possible. Unfortunately, it was not possible without, so I had to do some minor changes in eXide.js and editor.js. And some of the original files are replaced with versions of my own. So instead of calling, for example, the original commands.js, I just called my own commands.js. And of course, I added a couple of files that had no equivalent in the classical eXide. Just a quick overview of some of the changes I did. Well, most importantly, in eXide.js, I added a function to grant me access to the editor, with which I can also access the underlying editor from ACE and use all the function that is available there. And since I'm only using one document at one time, I don't need the restore state function, so I commented all that section, nor did I use the save state. So the current the files that are open are not saved, and when the editor starts, previous files are not restored. And within editor.js, I just needed to check if there's a current document, because if the file that is passed in the parameter doesn't exist, or the user doesn't have rights to edit it, then there is no document that is loaded, and therefore, I needed to add this. Otherwise, this is the mood question. And a few things I did in order to override the custom keyboard commands, since I don't want the user to use the keyboard command for open document or something like this. I needed to edit the file commands.js, and so now it's possible to uncomment, to remove or to comment some of the elements in the keybindings.js, and because previously, if you just remove something and this code runs, it would come to a halt and wouldn't work. I guess I'm not. Also overall the key bindings of ACE and displayed custom message types. So these are pretty much the changes. Most of the changes are in a way, with the exception of the storing and retrieving of the documents. Most of these changes are done in a way that they would also work if they were part of the standard eXide. So I hope with this it's possible to make eXide in the future stateless, so at least give it the option to make it stateless, so that if somebody wants to use eXide within their custom context, they can just, pass a parameter, and when eXide starts up, it doesn't load the documents. Also support empty canvases, or make it more modular, so if you say, I don't need this particular function, just leave out the file and calling it, and it doesn't crash. But in general, I have to say, it was actually quite easy to modify it in the way I did. Thanks to Wolfgang for this really nicely structured code. Helped me a lot. And so it's not that hard to just build your own custom eXide and use it in a way you need it to be. Thanks.
Any questions? Wolfgang?
No.
You're surprised?
Yeah, you're actually the first one who really customized eXide into its own workflow. And I'm astonished you managed it without encountering too many problems, because I certainly made every attempt to make the code readable, but as I was developing it over 2 years or so, sometimes stopping in between for months, I was not yet there. So the API is certainly not in a finished state. And in that respect, I would love to get your feedback, and if you could integrate that somehow,
Sure,
and
sure.
really define an API which then works for your customization. So, yeah.
Sure, I'd be glad to contribute. And there are also some things I just didn't touch yet, but I thought, it might be practical to get into that as well. So, yeah. And but I guess, well, currently, if you some of the features I didn't need that I removed from the user interface. So as you can see, it's a lot less items, and you don't see the warnings down here. And many of those are still in the code, and I just used CSS to make them visible. Because otherwise, at some other point, the JavaScript code would break because it would try to access element with the ID XY and it didn't check if it was there or not. So this was what I meant with a bit more checking whether elements or whether scripts are there. But in general, I guess it's really easy to build up on. But it's currently there.
Did you fork eXide on GitHub?
No, I just used, this is version 1.0.10. I think based on what came with release candidate 2, just copied it to a different folder. As you can see by the folder name, it's just called eXide 2. And put all my files in the custom directory, and yeah.
That might be maybe a more structural way if you just would clone from.
Yeah, sure. So
I know.
Yeah. You can also use the bug tracker there and submit patches and all that. And recently, quite a few people have started to do so. So I think it's picking up some more speed in development.
Thank you very much for the advice.